At the eastern end of the Mediterranean, where the mountains of Asia Minor come down to the sea, there lies a land whose people, known to antiquity as Phoenicians, today pridefully call themselves Abna Lubnan, the sons of Lebanon. Since the human race existed, men have dwelt in Lebanon between the mountains and the sea, and the waters of the sea have yielded up a living for generations of them beyond numbering. Phoenician sailors were the first to dare the open seas far from land in search of fishing and commerce. They were the first to devise marine charts and to use latitude as an aid to navigation. 2,500 years before Crusaders built their castles on these shores, the Phoenicians were already renowned as seamen and as traders. They pioneered and dominated the Mediterranean trade routes. Their ships ventured out into the unknown Atlantic, the Sea of Darkness, and rounded the continent of Africa 1,000 years before the first European explorer. The fame of Phoenicia's ports, Sidon and Tyre, lives down to our day in the cadences of Homer and in many an ancient tale. Everywhere, remains of the classical ages mingle in common ruin with what is left of ancient cities like Byblos, one of the oldest continuously inhabited places in the world. In Lebanon's earth, Canaanites and Hittites and Persians, the Greeks of Alexander's phalanxes and the proconsuls of imperial Rome are one with the Stone Age man of prehistory. To Lebanon's ageless mountains, towering above the sea, the pharaohs of Egypt sent their emissaries to barter for timber from the mighty cedars of Lebanon, the same timber from which Solomon built his temple. Of the immense groves which were the glory of Lebanon, a few hundred still live on, more than a mile above the sea, protected as a national symbol. Beyond the Wadi Kadisha, which cuts through the mountains, lies the valley of the Bekaa, where 30 centuries have left behind their testimonies to forsaken faiths. Since man first found a god to believe in, Baalbek has been a holy place. Here, where the Phoenicians worshipped Baal and Ishtar and Adonis, the Romans later dedicated their temples to Jupiter and Venus and Mercury. Working with immense blocks of stone by methods which remain a mystery even to modern engineers, they built a shining city and called it Heliopolis, City of the Sun. In the days of imperial Rome, Heliopolis was one of the great religious centers of the Eastern Empire, but time and earthquakes and invaders have brought it low. Yet, in all that classical antiquity has left us, there are few rivals anywhere to its splendors. Descendants of the men who built Baalbek's temples still live and work in the valley. But their features are the features of many differing peoples. For through the centuries, the rich soil of the Bekaa, once the granary of Rome, has been fought over and possessed by invader after invader, each bringing to the valley new blood, new ways, and new faiths. And to the mountains that encircle it have moved whole communities of men, Muslims, Druzes, and Christians, seeking a haven and freedom to believe as they chose. Generation after generation, too, have come the adventurous ones, the men of enterprise, looking for a place to build a new home and a better life. All of these have brought with them their courage, their independent spirit, and their skills. And among the mountains they founded new communities. In their towns they raised churches and mosques and temples for worship. And on the mountaintops their holy men found a retreat. Christianity took root early among the people of Roman Phoenicia. Jesus himself is known to have visited them and made his gospel known to them. And the first organized Christian community in the world was founded by the people of Tyre. It was later that the Arabs came, at the brilliant height of their empire, bringing with them the word of Islam. Long before Christianity and Islam met there, Lebanon was one of the great crossroads of the ancient world, where today a modern highway spans the Nahar el-Kalb. 3,000 years of invaders have crossed the Lebanese frontier. And along the highway, the stelae they left behind them mark off the epochs. Early came the Egyptians and the Assyrians, to be followed by the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. Centuries later, the British passed that way in alliance with the French. Later still, the French took the land under their mandate. Then, during World War II, the Lebanese became once more a free and sovereign people. And standing erect in pride as an independent nation, they found a way of living together, Muslim and Christian, side by side in forbearance based on mutual respect. Today, the Sunday sound of bells is as much a part of life for all Lebanese as the voice of the muazzin calling to prayer the faithful of Islam. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة Emerging into independence as one people without regard to differing faiths, the Lebanese set out to make of their nation a living example of modernism and democracy, and of their capital, Beirut, a great cosmopolitan city and an international crossroads. Beirut's gleaming new airport soon becomes one of the busiest in the world, a natural stopping point for the traffic of all nations between Europe and the East. 55 airlines, Asian, American, African, and European, operate out of it on regularly scheduled flights. Each year, 500,000 visitors or more enter the country, as many as Beirut's whole population. But the main avenue of trade for the Lebanese remains what it has always been, the sea. Lebanon's ports still teem with ships as in the days of antiquity, carrying in their hulls the profitable commerce of East and West. For the Lebanese have lost none of their ancestral skill at trading. In less than 20 years of independence, their achievements as a nation have been many and admirable, including a stable government democratically elected, personal freedom, and a sound economy. Their capital has become what they set out to make it, a modern city rising urbane and sophisticated under the Mediterranean sun. Its people, progressive, literate, and well-informed, are intensely aware of what is going on in the world around them. They take immense pride in their country and in the honorable and respected place it has won for itself among the family of nations. In the United Nations, no small country has done more to command the world's attention than the Republic of Lebanon. Its representatives have made their mark in international debate over the years and given a president to the General Assembly. From the beginning, they have carried weight belying the geographical size of the land they represent. Barely 130 miles long and 40 miles wide, Lebanon consists of a narrow plain along the sea and two mountain ranges back of it with the Bekaa Valley in between. It is smallest of all the Middle Eastern countries and is situated in the very heart of an area where many national interests collide. In the summer of 1958, the small republic found its independence gravely threatened by dissensions in power politics. As it appealed to the United Nations for help, the peace of the world hung in the balance. Then, with its case still under consideration by the United Nations, Lebanon appealed once more, this time to the United States, urgently asking for aid in restoring order to a strife-ridden land. Promptly, the United States responded. Within minutes of the call for aid, units of the United States Sixth Fleet had been alerted all over the Mediterranean. Within hours, they were moving toward a rendezvous point at sea, under orders from the President of the United States. Their mission? To carry out promises made long before to give help if help should be requested. Within 24 hours, a powerful task force had assembled and was speeding toward Beirut on its mission of peace. Led by the cruiser flagship Des Moines, it included 2 carriers, an amphibious force, a specialized air group, and finally the ships of the train, tankers, repair ships, and supply and provision ships. Everything needed to sustain the force at sea indefinitely. Nucleus of the force was the mammoth carrier Saratoga, whose name is an old and proud one in American annals. Since the United States first won its independence, there has always been a naval vessel bearing this name, upholding the cause of freedom. In flights of 4, the Saratoga's planes patrol the sea far out ahead. Though its mission is peace, the force maintains full readiness. Every 90 minutes, around the clock, a patrol formation takes off and another comes in. With the naval forces offshore, a fleet of American Air Force transport planes moves in on the airport at Beirut, its holds loaded with airborne troops, its landings timed so as not to halt commercial traffic. Dispatched from points in Europe and the United States, the huge transport planes touch down, one by one, precisely on schedule. Hour after hour, 24 to the day, the operation continues with faultless precision. Wave after wave of transports move in to unload their cargoes. Thousands of seasoned young Americans trained to a razor edge. In one of the swiftest mass military movements of modern times, 14,000 men are landed with all their equipment in simultaneous operations by sea and by air. Last of all come the administrative landings, with Army units debarking from offshore transports while helicopters monitor the operation. In all the thousands of years of its history, the Middle East had seen no such sight as this. A powerful force moving in on its shores, not as invader, but as friend, in simple fulfillment of a moral obligation. Before the last of the American troops are ashore, bringing with them eye-filling equipment like the new recoilless rifles, officers of the Lebanese army are riding with them as friends and observers. As each unit leaves the staging area, it moves up to positions agreed upon in consultation with Lebanon's government and with the high command of the Lebanese army. Airborne forces promptly fan out from the airport to take up the positions prescribed by agreement. Every man has his instructions. Be alert, be friendly, be patient. Besides guarding the airport and other military areas, American forces are posted at several points within the city. Orders are to encroach in no way upon the everyday life of the land they have come to help. Every man has been indoctrinated with one idea. His mission is not war, but peace. Not interference, but security for the people of Lebanon while they work out their own affairs in their own way. Faced with a mission as delicate as any soldier in history has ever faced, the Americans proceed with easy adaptability to make themselves at home in their olive grove encampments. As they shoulder their task, out to the men and officers of the American forces, wherever they may be, whatever they may be doing, goes a familiar voice, the recorded voice of their own American president, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
This is the president. I am talking to you from my office in the White House. I want to speak personally to the officers and men of our forces, Marines, sailors, soldiers, and airmen who are now in Lebanon, on the Mediterranean Sea, or in the skies over that area. You are in Lebanon because the United States has responded to an urgent request from Lebanon, a friendly country, for help in preserving its cherished independence, which has been gravely threatened. A large part of that threat comes from outside forces, which have sent men and munitions into Lebanon to help in destroying its democratic government based upon free, popular elections. Lebanon had no recourse but to appeal for assistance. Their president, with the unanimous approval of the cabinet, asked me to help them maintain their independence. After careful consideration and consultation with the leaders of our Congress, I decided that the appeal for help had to be honored. That unless Lebanon received help, pending necessary enlarged United Nations support, which could not be immediately furnished, Lebanon would cease to exist as a free and independent country. You are helping the Lebanese people to remain free. You are there at their invitation as friends to preserve for them the same freedoms that we have here at home. As soon as the independence and integrity of Lebanon are secure, then you and your comrades will be withdrawn immediately from the country. While on this duty, you may be assailed by propaganda, whipped up by skillful and ambitious men. There may be deliberate attempts to involve you as units or individually in incidents which will be greatly exaggerated by these propagandists to suit their own purposes. Through it all, just remember you are representing the United States of America, that you are true to her ideals in helping a people to keep their freedom. We have no hostile intent toward any people anywhere in the world. It will be a trying time for all of you. I know that. But I also know that you are American servicemen trained to do your duty to your country. Right now, the performance of that duty is the greatest contribution you can make to the peace of the world, the saving of the freedom of a small and friendly country. Through me, our people here at home, thank you. God bless you all.
The areas of American operation include only certain sections of the city of Beirut with its nearby waterfront and its mountain suburbs. Within this perimeter, they keep up a limited policing routine jointly with the Lebanese, including regular air patrols over the city's fringes. Though their work is tiring routine to them, the air patrols provide fun for hundreds of mountain children and their elders who find something new and fascinating landing on their doorstep. On the ground, mobile units jointly operated by Lebanese and Americans police the service roads between military areas, alert to see that no problems develop. On the plains outside Beirut, the Americans set up practice demonstrations and invite groups from the Lebanese army as observers.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Valdez, a platoon leader in A Company of the 3rd Medium Tank Battalion.
إنه يحييكم مساء الخير. إنه الملازم أول فالديز آمن كوكب الدبابات تابع للكتيبة الأولى المتوسطة لفوج الدبابات الثالث.
This afternoon, we're going to show you the organization of a medium tank company, the characteristics of a medium tank and its crew.
سنريكم بعد ظهر هذا اليوم تنظيم كتيبة الدبابات المتوسطة، ميزات الدبابة المتوسطة وسلالات.
The crew will dismount.
بمواجهتكم ستشاهدون دبابة تتقدم نحونا، السدنة تترجل وتصطف.
First member of the crew is the tank commander. The second member is the driver. The third member of the crew is the gunner. The fourth member of the crew is the loader.
Lebanese tank commanders, many of whom are experts seasoned in World War II, are given a clear look at American equipment and operational procedure. At the American encampments, days are filled with tight training schedules. In the few hours left over, the men stay close to base. Overhead, American paratroops, taking to Lebanon's blue skies, polish up their technique in exercises that go off without a hitch. Exercises like this give the men a chance to chalk up more drops on their service records. And under the eyes of critical Lebanese observers, they make a point of performing with special dash and precision. With the American forces standing by, the men of their top command, Admiral Holloway and General Adams, spend many hours at the American embassy, studying the sweep of events in Lebanon with Ambassador McClintock. For they realize that to understand the Lebanese leaders and political elements which are shaping these events is to understand much about the whole Middle East and the desire of its people to develop in freedom along their own social and political lines. Looking to Lebanon's mountains, they see one among these elements, the Druzes, an independent religious denomination. Like so many mountain people, the Druzes have a fierce sense of kinship and a sturdy tradition of freedom. One of the important Druze leaders is a slim, serious intellectual, Kemal Jumblat. His leadership is based on the loyalty of powerful sheiks who were devoted to his father before him and who assembled periodically at Mukhtara, his ancestral home, to pay their homage. Though their home is in the mountains, the Druzes are building a temple of their own in Beirut, white and lofty, to symbolize their faith. Another major element in Lebanon is that portion of the population which professes the faith of Islam. From the Sunni Muslims comes one of the outstanding leaders of the Muslim community, Saeb Salam, whose name, as a political figure, is well known in the Arab world. As a successful and respected businessman, besides, he holds the post of president of Al-Maqasid schools for children. Of the 78 Al-Maqasid schools in the various Arab countries, one of the finest is in Beirut, a model of its kind in its architecture, in its teaching methods, and in its scholastic standards. From many parts of the Arab world outside Beirut, parents send their children to be educated there and to absorb its atmosphere. Since in any democracy, politics is partly the art of swaying public opinion, the nation's political parties have well-organized press sections to reach Lebanon's educated electorate. With radios in widespread use, with television soon to come, and with numerous major daily papers in 3 languages, all points of view find their way to the public. The political spectrum in Lebanon is wide. It includes groups like the Syrian Social Nationalist Party, whose ultimate ambition is a single nation made up of Muslims, Christians, and Druzes, without regard to religion or present national boundaries. With a tumultuous history behind it, the SSNP, in regular meetings, still continues the pursuit of its aims. At quite another point in the spectrum, political reporters find, is former President Camille Chamoun's newly organized Liberal Nationalist Party. Though Mr. Chamoun no longer holds public office, the party is based on his own personal following, and he is busy welding it into a new political force. Its objective is to maintain the complete integrity of Lebanon against any form of subversion or domination from outside. Not far from Parliament in Beirut is the headquarters of Al-Kataib, the Phalangist Party, a group of Christian nationalists which also aims at keeping Lebanon's independence intact. Leader of the party is the drivingly energetic Pierre Gemayel, who comes of an old and influential Lebanese family. His party is made up of men who, like himself, look both to east and west for their ideas. Gemayel gained his first major public office in the compromise government which came into being in September of 1958. Planned as a temporary government under President Fuad Shihab, it set to work with Rashid Karami as its premier. Side by side, Karami and Gemayel, Hussein Oueni and Ramon Eddi, Muslim and Christian, submerged their differences to restore peace in the land. Together, President and Cabinet brought the country through the immediate crisis. But they knew that there was still far to go before the nation could attain to lasting security. For all their confidence, they realized how greatly its future must depend upon the Lebanese people themselves, upon the qualities of mind and of spirit they bring to the common task. A cosmopolitan people, the Lebanese possess a discriminating taste for good living and for agreeable pastimes. Racing in Beirut is carried off with all the style of Longchamps and Epsom Downs, and what is more, the horses are apt to be of blooded Arab stock famous for its beauty. Unto freedom, the Lebanese love of good living is still undiminished, but beneath it lies the seriousness of purpose of a people who have already moved far ahead along the road of progress. Even before independence, the drive for self-improvement began with movements like the Artisanat Libanais. For the wife of Lebanon's first elected president, Madame Emile Eddi, this movement has won the lasting gratitude of thousands who learned from the women of the Artisanat a way of bettering their lot. Purpose of the movement, in part, is to preserve and hand on to the young the ancient artisan traditions of the Lebanese, which were at one time slowly being lost. In the Artisanat school, the new generations are being taught the subtle arts of weaving, which from time immemorial have given a fabled beauty and richness to Lebanese textiles. But the primary purpose of the movement is to bring help to the mountain people of Lebanon. In every mountain village, however remote, there are basic skills at handicraft which have been handed down the generations. Under the direction of the artisanal movement, women and children are learning to turn these skills to profit. They have been encouraged to return to traditional patterns and forms and to old standards of workmanship. For their handicraft, the artisanal finds them a market while protecting them from commercial exploitation. To many a mountain family, this work has meant the difference between a meager way of living and a fuller, more comfortable life. Older folk, too, with a lifetime's accumulation of skill and craftsmanship to draw on, have been encouraged to keep on with their work in the certainty of a market and a good price for what they turn out. Beyond raising incomes in the far villages, the women of the artisanat are helping to improve living standards in other ways, as, for example, by teaching the mountain women how to preserve the crops around them, so plentiful during the growing seasons, for the seasons when food is scarce. Nowadays, in the remotest villages of Lebanon's mountains, the modern pressure cooker and the newest techniques of preserving and canning are becoming common knowledge among the village wives. Everywhere through the mountains, people are turning to account new skills and old. For more than 200 years, the men of a single family have been making jazine ware, table implements with handles of horn, carved and inlaid. The nightingale motif on jazine ware was known to the craftsmen of ancient Phoenicia 1,000 years before the Christian era, and the methods used today are those used in the dim reaches of antiquity. But the measure of Lebanon's progress is something much bigger. It is in the changes that are coming over the face of the land and over its immemorial ways, as the Lebanese, without rejecting the past, seize on whatever the modern age has to offer for their country's development. It is in the look of the fertile Bekaa Valley, which for uncounted thousands of years has provided the people who live there with wine and fruit and wheat. Today, the valley is moving into a new agricultural age. The Bekaa's flocks, exercising their ancient right to glean the soil after the harvest, are accustomed now to the roar of machines making over the land. Where the soil has been too rocky for cultivation, bulldozers uproot the rocks, leaving behind land loamy and flat, easily tilled by tractor. So that farmers of the Bekaa may speed their products to Beirut's markets within an hour, a new 4-lane highway traverses the valley and descends the mountains to the sea. Below, it connects with the new highway which runs the length of Lebanon along the coast. Beside the road, many acres which were once barren or yielded only sparsely are now green with plantations and orchards bearing their heavy harvest, brought to abundance by irrigation. Olive groves, older than living man or ancestral memory, flourish and yield richly, where for hundreds of years they have been at the mercy of seasonal rains and seasonal drought. Many believe it was in Lebanon that man first domesticated the olive tree and gathered its fruit to provide his food and his oil. Down all the unimaginable centuries since, its people have gone on harvesting their olives as the seasons provided. But today, there is water in abundance and in all seasons from the nearby Litani River. On its way down from the mountains to the sea, the Lebanese have tapped it to provide an irrigating system for creating more of the arable land the country so badly needs. For of Lebanon's 4,000 square miles, barely a quarter will, of itself, grow food, and every inch of usable land must be made to produce to the maximum. The government, through experimental projects and the use of agricultural agents, is encouraging the nation's growers and farmers to make use of every new method which promises to help raise production. Already, Lebanon's groves and farms are yielding more food of higher quality. And with more land being made to bear by irrigation, the nation can hope in time to narrow substantially the gap between what it produces and what it consumes. In a healthy nation, agriculture must be balanced by industry, and industry requires power. Since the country came to independence, it has greatly increased its power output. But with the economy expanding, more is needed. To help meet this need, the government plans to enlarge its hydroelectric capacity to augment the nation's existing power plants. Already, much of the nation's industrial establishment has been completely made over. Plants of the most advanced design have replaced the older, less efficient installations. Given a free hand in solving functional problems, architects have come up with new and fascinating forms, like the pattern of skylights on a tobacco factory. Industrial design and architecture, progressing together, have made great contributions to Lebanon's expanding industry. A lively part of this industry is based on the transportation of petroleum. The ancient port of Sidon has become one of the world's great oil transshipment centers, though Lebanon itself produces no oil. Sidon is the terminus of a 1,000-mile-long pipeline which every year pumps 100 million barrels of crude from the distant fields of Saudi Arabia for shipment to the rest of the world. For its right-of-way, the pipeline pays the government a sizable revenue, and it provides, in addition, employment for numbers of Lebanese workmen and technicians. Though the bulk of the oil is for transshipment, some of it stays to fill Lebanon's own needs for industry and for transportation. It is this which supplies the raw material for the refinery at Sidon. In its cracking plant, some 13,000 barrels of crude petroleum a day are broken down into gasoline, lubricating oil, specialized butane, and other products needed to keep the nation's industry functioning and its transportation running. From the refinery, the familiar red trucks take care of distribution to the farthest corners of the land. Year by year, the consumption of gasoline is going up, for with increasing prosperity, more and more people are buying automobiles. Since 1946, the number of cars in Beirut streets has more than doubled. Today, Beirut wears the look of a prosperous world capital, enjoying its prosperity and unafraid of tomorrow. Its shops are as elegant as any in the world, and their clientele as discriminating. Beirut's women have always been renowned for their beauty, and they have the taste and the flair for dressing up to it. The annual total of woman hours spent in the happy agony of shopping, of finding the right frock and the perfect accessories, is as astronomical in Beirut as in any city of its size on earth. The taste of the Lebanese for elegance and style extends as well to the homes they choose to live in, and furnishes the basis of a flourishing building industry. Since 1946, hundreds of new apartment houses have sprung up in Beirut, beautifully designed and beautifully appointed, transforming whole sections of the city. The newest buildings are equipped with private parking lots and supermarkets. Beirut supermarkets are almost indistinguishable from their American prototypes. But the stocks of food they carry bear brand names culled from 4 continents and many lands to appeal to cosmopolitan tastes. The apartment houses Beirut's people take almost as a matter of course are the kind most city dwellers dream of, tall and sunlit and airy, looking out through filigreed walls over the cool Mediterranean. Loveliest of the world's seas, the Mediterranean counts among Lebanon's great natural assets, for it is one of the chief lures to the nation's rich tourist trade. The shoreline, which stretches out above and below Beirut, is a primary attraction to most of Lebanon's 500,000 visitors each year. In waters which once knew the sweep of Phoenicia's galleys and bore Solomon's ships on their way to seek the gold of Ophir, water skiers now skim the surface under fantastic cliffs crowned with resort hotels. Nowhere is there water skiing quite like the dramatic circuit of Beirut's famed Pigeon Rock. If it is the pure beauty of water, mountain, and sky which attracts most tourists in the first place, all who visit Lebanon go sooner or later to pay their respects to the nation's great past. In Beirut's museum, history is made to live again by works of art found buried in Lebanon's earth and here superbly displayed. From the years when the Greeks ruled Phoenicia comes the famed Rhython, masterpiece of some unknown hand. In later times came the Romans, bringing with them their own art, growing ripe to decadence. Of them all, few made contributions so basic to modern civilization as that of the Phoenicians. On the sarcophagus of King Hiram of Byblos is an inscription lettered 3,000 years ago. It is carved in an alphabet which is the root of all modern alphabetical systems, the great gift Phoenicia left to the ages. If any king exposes this coffin, the inscription reads, let his judicial scepter be broken, let his royal throne be overturned, and let peace flee from Byblos. In the greatness that was Phoenicia and became Lebanon, new generations coming of age are encouraged to take pride. By studying yesterday, the young men and women of the nation's colleges may learn how to approach tomorrow. For the responsibilities they face, the hard responsibilities of freedom under democracy, Lebanon's young are being well prepared. The Beirut College for Women is one of the few women's colleges in the Middle East which grants degrees. Though founded by American Presbyterians, it seeks to impose no creed, and its courses stress Lebanon's own cultural heritage.
This is the Lebanese costume. First, we wear the pants. We call the shirwal. Over the pant, we have this we call the gumbaz. Over the gumbaz, we have the belt. And here is our jewelry, our earrings. Up here is the tantour. Over the tantour, we put on a veil. Some of them used to put the veil this way, and others used to put it like this.
With today's generation of Eastern women freed from old restrictions, colleges like this are helping them to take a responsible place in the modern world. Though Lebanon has a well-integrated system of public schools, private schools and colleges have done much to give Lebanon its liberal tradition of intellectual and political freedom. Best known of them is the American University of Beirut, with more than 3,000 students of 50 nationalities and 20 faiths. From its campus have come scores of today's most influential men in the Arab world and elsewhere. It has done much to bring competitive sports into the Middle East and build standards of sportsmanship for the young to adhere to. As site of the Pan-Arab Olympics, it has provided a setting for friendly cooperation and fair competition between the young peoples of the region. With its universities and its colleges, its private and public schools, Lebanon has one of the highest literacy rates in the world. And in this may well lie the nation's great strength for the future. For in its educated youth lies Lebanon's great hope of achieving a lasting unity and security in a troubled world. By the autumn of 1958, the nation was restored to peace and its sovereignty no longer in danger. The forces of the United States had come to the end of a mission. One day, the first American units began moving out. Unit by unit, day by day, the embarkation goes on, by sea and by air. A helicopter some mountain child will always remember heads offshore to join its seaborne unit. And a carrier which arrived at dawn makes ready to depart at dusk. Then the day comes for the last units to move out. Men who have come to know Lebanon and the Lebanese a little better for having been among them check in their equipment and file aboard the transports. They came to help a people they had never known in a land they had never seen. Now they have done what they came for, so they move on. The United States has respected its obligation to a friendly nation. When help was asked, it sent its men, asking nothing in return, seeking no advantage. Behind them, they leave a job well done, a nation intact in its sovereignty, free to move forward in its own way, and in its own way to meet and come to terms with tomorrow.